Okay. So we're not in this format, we're not able to go into really great insights, but you can see the things that are there. When you compare it against your history and what's going on, these will make sense. So when you're doing your own chart, take the time, ask questions, look at it, look around, see what's happening. You're looking at it, and it's really shifts in your attitude to these planets, to the energies of these planets. And they can come, and they're part of your growth factor as they're hitting progressions. Okay, so now we're going to deal with Donald Trump. Okay, let's see. And there's just we started with these three people, so we're just going to work with it and keep looking at it, not to make someone good or bad. They do that on themselves. I mean, look at a chart. You can't look at a chart if someone's good or bad. You can see the potential for trouble, but you don't know if they become the saints from it or they act on it, whether they act on it or whether they grow through it. You can't tell without observing whether someone's misusing that energy or not. You can see the challenges someone have, but a murderer and a saint could have the same chart and just totally different values and dealing with a totally different energy. So anytime you're really in our life, as we spiritually evolve, the more we become closer to our heart, our spirit, or to God, the more we fix our karma a little bit. So if you had something where you cut off someone's arm in another lifetime and it's due that you're supposed to lose your arm in this time, maybe you just break it or get a cut on it. And maybe you fix the karma a little bit by living properly. So can't know all these things. We're just looking at the texture. We're looking at the weather forecast of your life at different layers. Here we're getting to outer planets within progressions. They're in your chart. They're there. They're just inner shifts that go on. And they still will play out, but even the transiting Pluto, as it makes us, it'll include these shifts because that's how it will work for you. So okay, with Donald Trump, his Uranus at 7 degrees, his sun's at 22. So his Uranus, it's going direct. And you're gonna know, knowing the character, at some point, it's gonna oppose his moon, 21 degrees. Then it will conjunct. It opposed his moon in 2013. It broke off with the past. I don't know when he had the breakdown where he had to sell the hotels or stuff, but that opposed the moon, or whether it was a divorce or whether it was that changed his relationship to the past and shook things up. And so his instable home things built up to that Uranus opposed to him, built right up all his life until it got to it's there. It built up all his life to 2013. Then during that time, something extreme things happen and it starts to ease off a little bit. It will never, even though the sun's at 22 degrees, it will never get far enough. It goes 20, 21, 28, 21, 48. So the sun's at 22, it doesn't get within a degree of the sun, it just does the moon. It never gets to really finding his freedom or his breakthrough, although in astrology it's there, but it's conjunct the node. He's born on an eclipse. So like an eclipse of the moon. And that he got in power is a questionable thing just based on eclipses, but that's another story. But the Uranus here comes up, disrupts the moon and moves back. So it doesn't quite get to the sun. He doesn't really quite get the breakthrough that one would think. Even though that Uranus and the sun are high profile and it's noticeable, all can see up in the 10th house. You can't see the shocks it's done to family. We get to the Neptune. Okay, his Neptune is in Libra, 5 degrees. It's squaring his Mercury at 8 degrees. Neptune squares Mercury. That's the confused ideas. Who would have thought? Or the idealistic ideas, or fanatical or deceptive ideas, or expectant, or let's say perhaps questionable or unreliable ideas. So he's not supposed to rely on his mind that much. What's he relying on? Okay, he thinks he knows it all. So his Neptune starts retrograde. But it's stationary retrograde for 60 years. By the time at 52, he's about 6 years old, starting school. He conjunct his Neptune again and went forward. And then, so when retrograde started going forward, go back to the thing starting school. Then right now, it just moves straight forward. It's at 7:05, 7 degrees 05. It was at 5, moves up to 7. And it's a Taurus Sag theme, but does it get up? Yes, it does. No, it doesn't. If he 2046, no, it will not get up to May. It's steadily moving closer into that square to Neptune. So that means it's increasing. The deception or the confusion or the gullibility of Mercury and Neptune is increasing steadily, but it doesn't build up to its peak, which would be if it hit exactly Neptune to the Mercury. It's enough to see that the troubles that are building up, the confusions that are building up. Neptune on the spiritual side brings out an issue of faith, but in terms of his ideas and Mercury in the 11th house in Cancer, let's build the homeland, let's make America the home great again. It's kind of prejudiced ideas. And it doesn't look like there's a basic shift in that fundamental thinking. And if it goes wrong, he'll still blame others. Okay, his Pluto is at 10 degrees Leo. It's not no bad aspects, but it's in his 12th house. And it's going direct his whole life. And it doesn't make any aspects. It moves up to 1245, almost 3 degrees, just in that Leo phase. So you can go in and mark in the highlighted period where he is now. Leo, Gemini phase. That's his whole phase of his Pluto. It's been that way since 2005. Before that was Leo, Gemini, Taurus. It's more money now, it's ideas. So okay, there's literally when you're dealing with someone you don't know, when you're talking about, like, I'm just trying to show you the technique that this is here and that this information is tappable and reachable. And a lot of people would never imagine that you can get this far, get this much from progressions. And we haven't even gone into reading the hexagrams that elaborate this more. So, okay, Carl Jung will pull up Pluto. Pluto. Here's the Neptune. And here's the Uranus. Oh, I put the wrong one. Pluto. Neptune. And Uranus. Okay. I mean, there's a whole symphony. The progressions are a whole symphony going on. There's so many things going, just like transits. They're all going on top of your simple little chart. Boy, who knew that so many things could go on, or how complicated it could get. But it's like music. A conductor can know those 50 violins, and if that one's out of tune, they'll know. But most of us wouldn't hear it. So an astrologer gets to be tuned and refines their sensitivity to be able to understand and be tuned into some of these cycles. Some don't, some do. So Carl Jung, his Uranus is in the 7th house with his sun. It's not conjunct, just out of order, but they're both in the 7th house. You have the psychotherapist, the unique way of looking at relationships, seeing it differently. Okay, it's in Leo. It does square his moon, 1 degree orb, 15 degrees. So Uranus moving forward is probably going to hit that moon at some point. So we're going to see that. But it's going to affect relationships and his common sense, the 3rd house. Common sense about disruptive relationships. Wow, that sounds like a perfect angle on doing psychotherapy, helping people with disruptive relationships. Okay. Yeah, it goes forward straight. It's not till 9. He's born in 75. In 1886, at 11 years old, it squared his moon. And so his anxiety about home, family, past mother, who he was aloof from, it built up to a peak when he's 11 years old. So he didn't have a lot of stability or stableness with his mom. And he had this shock and insecurity around it, which is difficult for Taurus moon. So that reached a peak in 86, and then it backed off and would start to move beyond that. It still would be another, I'd give it at least a degree. So it's going to be 1903 when he met Jung, was the first time he was getting out of the influence of the mother, of the anxieties of mother. Then he meets Jung, another psychotherapist who really likes the ideas. They share the ideas. They align with each other. And that would have been about 2004, 2003, 2004, just as he gets out of that 1 degree orb to the moon. And then that went on for about 10 years, 9, 10 years before, or 8, 9 years before it blew up. And before that, anxiety proved unstable too. He was studying, they had things in common, but it broke away. It wasn't what it expected to be. So that was all within 2 degrees. I marked in the period in 2011, 2012 at the end of their relationships, and this was Leo, Cancer, something, Sag inside, but this was the breaking away. It's still part of the moon, but it was moving more towards the Pluto, still far away from it. But that moon still is conjunct Pluto because of it's 8 degrees, but it's the moon, so it includes the Pluto. But so in this case, Uranus pointed a very dramatic poignant still of the disruption, the anxiety, the neuroses to his mom, which he has inherent neuroses in his moon Uranus, inherent anxiety, and how it played out in his life. This is a really fascinating level add on to it. Then it moves beyond it, and it doesn't make any further aspects. It goes on through his life, gets up to 19 degrees. And yeah, so it never moves out of the orbit. It just doesn't become as critical as it was.